Hello everyone, and welcome to my sketchbook tour. I know that it's been a while since I uploaded on this channel, but you know how life gets. But I'm back to hopefully making more videos on YouTube. But if you've been following me on other platforms, you know that I'm much more active on there. So if you want to see more content, definitely check me out on other platforms. Hopefully we get more long form content on here as well. So like I said, if you've been following me on other platforms, you know that I've been working on this itty bitty sketchbook for a while now. I decided back in June to do a mini sketchbook slam challenge. And if you're not familiar with the sketchbook slam challenge, it's basically where you fill up an entire sketchbook in a month, which is just as chaotic as that sounds. But I did want to say that this technically isn't the right sketchbook slam challenge or the same kind of challenge, because if you look up videos on YouTube, you'll see that the OG challenge, I guess, is with a much larger sketchbook, much more involved. It's like 600 pages. I think it's like more than twice the size of this. But I thought I would, you know, do the challenge on my own rules, but still keeping that main goal of filling it up in a month. Right? So you might be wondering, right, why the hell would you do that to yourself? And the answer is because I have a problem with sketchbooks where I just keep buying them, but they just sit there. And so I told myself, you know, we really gotta use these sketchbooks. And I thought that, you know, in order to push myself to really fill them up, I thought I would do a fun little challenge. Because I figured, you know, filling them up would at least offset the guilt that I feel after buying 10 billion sketchbooks. But anyway, I believe this sketchbook has around like 145 or 146 pages, front and back. I figured that the sketchbook slam challenge wouldn't be too stressful with this size of a sketchbook, which is, you know, why I felt more inclined to do it. But anyway, I started the sketchbook in June, finished it in less than a month actually. So let's get into it. The first 2 pages, teeth, because I love drawing teeth for some reason. I don't know, I just have always been drawn to drawing teeth, I suppose. In here you can see that I added a red outline. I think with this book, I really got to allow myself to explore color more. I say as I show you a black and white page. No, but I had a lot of fun with this challenge. Even though it was kind of stressful, I did have a lot of fun with allowing myself to explore more colors. And you'll see, you know, at first I'm a little shy, right, about it. There's not much color. Drew more teeth, went into drawing some monster teeth a little bit. But yeah, then we go into skulls, which I thought was really fun. And you can see, you know, I added more color. And I told myself, you know, to not be shy with the colors. Like I said, you can kind of see me build up the courage. Because I realized through this challenge that I don't really allow myself to use color since I started making horror art, which I know is a bit silly, that I don't know, I guess I had this like mental block or this mental note in my head where I was like, you're not allowed to use color, which is silly because I'm absolutely allowed to do anything I want with my art. And yes, we're building up more courage. There's gonna be a lot of shoes in here also, by the way, spoiler alert. They're also another thing that I enjoy drawing. Here we get some more color. I drew a boot, but then I was like, what the hell else do I put on the page? And so this was a lot of exploration with that. Had some fun with lettering. Lettering is also something that I kind of explore here. Then we go into some bugs. I don't know, I really love the shape of silkworms, which might probably sound really weird. Now that I say it out loud, it's kind of bizarre. But yeah, I just love how they look. And so it started with just a silkworm, and then it kind of like evolved into its life cycle. Oh my goodness, I forgot about this spread. So I'll let this sink in for a little bit. So while I was filling out the sketchbook, I would occasionally go live during it, and this was a day where I just allowed the viewers to just give me ideas of what to draw. So I let them have free reign of what I put on the page. And so we ended up with a murderous, violent snail who falls in love with a punk rubber duck, I guess. And there's some sort of enemies to lovers relationship going on. And somehow we ended up giving the duck platform Crocs with spikes, because why not, right? And then we ended with the chair and bat wings. I think this was also part of that live. So somebody suggested that I draw a hummingbird moth, then I drew a flower, and then the rest was back to me drawing whatever. And again, having more fun with colors. A lot of these pages are going to be chaotic simply because I just didn't know what the hell to draw. But that's the beauty of this challenge, I think, and that's the beauty of having a sketchbook. I've been trying to be less precious with sketchbooks. I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with as artists. Just, you know, wanting every page to be perfect and beautiful and wonderful, but, you know, that's exactly the opposite of what a sketchbook should be. It shouldn't be that limiting or that fear-inducing, I guess. Like, we shouldn't be worried about every page being perfect. And so with this, like, a lot of these pages are very random and chaotic because I really wanted to just let myself have that free reign. So a lot of these pages won't make sense, and I'm not even going to try to explain any of them. Flowers and wings are another common theme. I say theme, but there's really no theme. And again, more shoes. Shoes are another one of those things that I really enjoy drawing. At first I hated drawing shoes, but eventually I grew to enjoy drawing them. And here was where I decided to implement more figure drawing. I have a separate sketchbook that's exclusively for figure drawing, but the pages are larger, so I was a little worried about doing figure drawing in this sketchbook because it's so small, but I ended up having fun with it. Here is a exercise, I guess, or a little guide that I saw on Pinterest, where an artist was showing, like, using a heart and 2 circles and, like, the lines for the legs, like using the heart as a guide for drawing hips. And then I end up trying it in a few other pages, so you'll see that come up. And then we have more shoes. A lot of my references, by the way, come from Pinterest. So I feel like when it comes to like shoes and figure drawing, those didn't come from my imagination. Like, I had to look at a guide for them. And I felt like drawing some dice. More figure drawing. These flowers are actually from actual flowers that I saw in person. I have a photo, hopefully it pops up on screen. But yeah, I drew some flowers that I saw this day, so I thought that was really fun. I kind of wish that I did that more. I wish that I did more still life drawings or more sketches of IRL things. More figure drawing and cherries. I ended up realizing how fun cherries are to draw as well. More figure drawing. And then someone on TikTok said to add an astronaut helmet, so we did that. I really like how this smiley face came out. I might add this guy in other stuff. I did end up falling into a trap, which I'll talk about in a bit, but here's some fruits. This was also a day where I was just like, I don't know what to draw. Because that definitely was a challenge that I had often with this challenge. Just having to rack my brain some days of what to draw. But I think that that panic or that uncertainty really pushed my creativity and allowed me to just make random whatever, you know. And I think that in the panic and in the pressure, I was able to come up with really interesting results. I was gonna say something else earlier. What were we talking about? Oh, I remember now. Sorry. Brain fart. I was saying how I ended up falling into this trap of like every page has to be full. So I don't know. I'm probably sounding like a hypocrite. These are really fun. Drawing lingerie was also something that I did often and wanted to explore more of. But yeah, I know that I said that I didn't want to be so precious with the sketchbook, but I will admit that I did have moments where I was like, every page needs to be full. And so you will see like a lot of these pages will probably be crowded because of that, which is something that I don't feel too great about. because that's just another form of, you know, that pressure I was talking about earlier, where every page has to be perfect. I don't know, I just had an inclination to make every page as crowded as possible, which totally defeats the purpose of allowing yourself to be free in a sketchbook. But yeah, I just wanted to come clean about that. I guess it's hard, you know, and some of these pages, you know, I try to back off after a while, so some of them aren't as crowded as others. I tried really hard to, you know, stick to that idea of not every page has to be great or uniform or whatever. And here was where I started exploring more fabric, or practicing more fabric. I felt like drawing acorns this day, I don't know. Like I said, there's not much rhyme or reason. And then I remember that mushrooms existed, I don't know. Or that I could draw mushrooms. More fabric practice. It's funny because I've had people, whether it's like at a job or comments online, people are like, you should be a fashion designer, or you should, you know, make clothes, but I definitely cannot do that. I can only draw clothes. I cannot make any kind of garment. These I was really proud of. I loved how the ruffles and the wrinkles came out, which is why I didn't end up filling them in. I just did like a color around them, because sometimes when I fill it in with color, you lose some of the line work. More clothes. I thought this was really fun. The spirals were really fun. More shoes and fruits. Again, I felt that pressure to fill up the page. That's why there's a lot of sparklies. But you know, at the same time, like, it was really, really fun and therapeutic for me to make these kinds of like different patterns and use different colors. And so even though this challenge did end up being kind of stressful at times because I just didn't know what to draw, like being able to just put down any color I wanted and to just make any kind of shape that I wanted, it felt really good. So I would recommend having a sketchbook where you allow yourself that. Then we drew some moths. And then we did some bone studies. This I'm pretty proud of. I wasn't sure if it would turn out because usually when I draw a lot of bones in a row like this, I kind of lose I lose track of where things are, but I think we did pretty well with that one. But yeah, as I was saying, being able to like make swirly lines and sparkles and use different colors like that, it was really, really freeing. And so in a way that ended up being like an art therapy for me. So like subtle squigglies and colors. More clothes. Shoes are my comfort drawings, exactly. And you know, and you've probably noticed by now, but in a lot of pages I would like write down thoughts and feelings that I had. So it was therapeutic in that sense as well. More figure practice. So here's where I first attempted to add clothing to my figure drawings, because oftentimes I just draw the figure, but I try not to focus too much on the clothing so that I can get a better feel for, you know, the shapes and such of the human body. But it's been a while now since I've been practicing figure drawing, so I decided to, you know, finally go for it and to combine both the clothing and the figures. So that's what you see here. More figures. Somebody said to draw fish heads, so that's what that is. This ended up being really fun. I think it started out with like these two shoes in the middle, but then I was like, crap, what do I put on the rest of the page because it feels like it's missing? and I thought that I would do like shoes that would get cut off the page, and I think it ended up being really cool. I think I used highlighter for this as well. This was a very fun page. I think this spread was mainly just clothes I wish I had or outfits that I wish I could wear but don't feel confident enough to wear, I guess. More fabric practice. Again, I had a lot of fun with the wrinkles and the lighting and such. And we're coming up on, you know, the last few pages. But yeah, I was having a lot of fun with the fabric, if you couldn't tell. I think that like I kept going. This might all be from the same day. Yeah, so day 20 was, I guess, fabric day. But I like really leaned into the fixation, I guess you could call it, of the fabric practice. Since I was having so much fun, I just kept going, and so I was like, you know what, whatever gets us to knock out as many pages as I can. More shoes. And I also wanted to mention that, like, ooh, this was a really fun page. I wanted to mention that I did calculate, like, at the beginning of the challenge, like, how many pages I would need to cover every day to meet it, but I definitely did not stick to it. So that's another disclaimer. Like, I definitely had some rough days where I couldn't really get myself to draw, or I just had too many other things going on in my day to really sit down and have time to draw. So some days were very chaotic because I was trying to play catch up, and, you know, it was kind of stressful in that regard, I guess, because on one hand it's like, yeah, let yourself be free, but on the other hand it's like, you have a deadline. So, you know, trying to navigate that and balance that was kind of rough. But here's another one of those exploration days, I suppose. I mean, I explored a little bit of everything, or a little bit of something each day, but this was just a patterns day. More patterns. Surprisingly, this paper took the marker pretty well. There's some bleeding, or you could see some see-through, but yeah, this sketchbook ended up performing better than I expected. I always go back to drawing shoes, exactly. This one was just chaos. I think I was just stressed out at this point, because I was coming up on the deadline. I think the 11th was when I ended up finishing this. So I think I was just panicking a little bit. But, you know, I think there was also something freeing and satisfying about letting yourself scribble, so. Really rough and just in motion. Yeah, more figure drawings. These I definitely did not take my time with. Like I said, I was panicking a bit. But, you know, there's beauty in the chaos, I think. Somebody on live said to draw poodle skirt, and I thought that was a great idea. Drew some more skulls. Skulls are something that I would like to draw more of. Last few pages. Yeah, being able to explore color like this was really fun for me. I think if you look at my art now, actually, you'll notice that I've been incorporating more color with my art. So this challenge definitely helped me to gain confidence with that, with adding more color into my art. It's so funny because if you know what my art looks like before I started this horror art journey, then you know that my art used to be so colorful like this and so vibrant. But I guess when I transitioned to the different art style, I made some ridiculous rule in my head that I couldn't do that anymore. But here are the last few pages, and I just, you know, I just did what I enjoyed the most about this challenge for the last few pages, which was figure drawing and just the colors. And I thought this was the last page, but I think, yeah, it is the last page, okay. So I thought that this was the last page, but then I was like, there's this empty space on this side. So I ended up filling this one as well. And here's our end page. Yeah, I ended up finishing this on the 11th of July at almost 4 a.m. Because of course I did. Oh, and there's a little pocket here, and there's a ribbon in the sketchbook, by the way. This ended up being kind of like a sketchbook review, but that's what happens. So yeah, that's my sketchbook tour. I don't really know what else to say, just that I don't know if I would recommend this challenge to everyone because, like I said, it did get stressful at times. But if you're someone who wants an excuse to start a new sketchbook or, you know, wants motivation to really fill up a sketchbook, I would say then go for it. But yeah, despite the chaos that this had, it really was therapeutic, and I really mean that. I loved being able to use different colors and to be able to just set down whatever I wanted. That was very freeing. I think that we all need to do that once in a while, especially if you're an artist. I feel like sometimes when we do a certain type of art for a really long time, we end up burning out or we end up feeling lost after a while. And so having like this kind of space to just do whatever the hell you want is very freeing and therapeutic. Because I feel like I was definitely falling into the trap of like, not necessarily getting bored of my work, but feeling stuck. And this challenge really helped me to feel unstuck. I would highly recommend this also if you're having art block or experiencing anything like that. Because like I said, this sketchbook helped me realize that I really was putting so many mental laws about art on myself, and being able to break free from them and reminding myself that I can make whatever I want, and you know, it's okay to break away from your norm or your usual. Yeah, kind of going through this again, but you get the idea. I wanted to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you watched through the whole thing, I really appreciate you. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or thoughts about this challenge. Let me know if you feel inclined to try this. Yeah, let me know what other kind of content you would like to see on this channel as well, because that's something I would love to do more of. I would love to make more long form stuff. Thank you for being here. All my links and info are in the description below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!